it's shifted the dynamic from follower base to content creation, and really democratized kind of everyone on social media having this very powerful influence.
Welcome to the Mastering E-commerce Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Koter, co-CEO of Vimy. In an era of rising acquisition costs and increased competition, this podcast is dedicated to helping you drive sales, engage customers, and build meaningful communities so you can turn passive visitors into active buyers. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on future content. Now let's get started with the episode. Today's episode is about a topic that I'm really passionate about. It's all about influencer marketing, and not just influencer marketing on a traditional platform like Instagram, maybe YouTube, TikTok, but an omnichannel view of how do you operate and how do you select and how you launch influencer marketing campaign on an omnichannel strategy using obviously channels like Amazon marketplaces and Walmart. So I have a really interesting guest today. His name is William Gasner, a true maker at heart, a digital marketing expert, and the co-founder and CMO of Stack Influence, a platform revolutionizing how e-commerce brands collaborate with everyday micro-influencers. From his roots on Block Island, Rhode Island, to leading one of the most innovative influencer marketing marketplaces, William blends creativity, technology, and a passion for growth. He's also a contributing member of the Forbes Agency Council, where he shares thought leadership on influencer trends, the creator economy, and digital advertising. William, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the episode.
Yeah, really excited about this topic, really passionate about that. I mean, influencer marketing is such a powerful channel these days, right? So I think you're in the right place. But William, before we get started and dive deep, if you can choose just 3 words that are most important to you and why, I'd love to hear that from you.
100%. And great question. So 3 very important words that define myself and also align a lot with the companies that I build and are currently building are balance, growth, and authenticity. And I can go into a little bit of each one of those. So balance, one, just I think everyone always needs balance in life, right? You consistently have to juggle a million things, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a parent, whether you are just navigating life on your own, right? There's always ups and downs, and you always need to find some good balance to kind of weather the storm, you could say, because life is chaotic. In my own personal life as well, it goes a little deeper. First off, my current company, Stack Influence, stacking is in essence of balance, right? It's also building and also growing. But I have a side passion project on building stone stack balance sculptures. So I've always had this passion for balance in artistic form, and then also in my life, and then also in my businesses. So that word is very important to me. The second word of growth. So I, in a past occupation, I was a botanist and worked in a pollen genetics lab, growing plants in many greenhouses. You can see some plants behind me. I love growing all things, and not only plants, but also businesses. And positive growth, right? Authentic growth, which kind of leads me into my last word, is key, right? It's nurturing growth. It's not just growth for the sake of growth, but growing organically, growing in an authentic manner is something that I always strive for in my personal life, and then also in my businesses, right? If I'm not growing and learning, I'm not on the right path, and I know I need to shift. And the final word, authenticity, is really being your authentic self, right? Don't put a mask on. Do podcasts like things like this. Put your face out there. Tell your truth, right? And I always try to be authentic as much as possible with people in my life, my business partners, my loved ones. And then also authenticity is a major part of the business I currently run, of Stack Influence, of that influencer marketing, which we're going to dive into very deeply in this episode. But real influence is real authenticity, right? You start to lose influence when you become less authentic. because authenticity is correlated with trust, and trust is correlated with a conversion, right? Which is what a lot of influencing is about. But it really goes back down to that. How authentic are you being in the message that you're conveying? And not only on a social promotion, but as you know, in your business quite well, and the content that you're producing, the video content, if you're running ads with that content, authenticity is really what shines through and what actually makes a high performing piece of content or promotion.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 words.
Amazing. I love this, like the botanic analogy, right? It's like gardening, right? Not gardening your business, but gardening yourself first, right?
Yep.
Just investing in yourself, in your strengths and capabilities and tools. And this has immediate correlation to balance, right? Definitely work-life balance, and balance when you're over successful, then okay, relax, right? And when you have difficult times, also you need to sustain composure, right? And try to keep up, with difficult times as well. So balance in your life is very correlated to balance in your business, and gardening and investing in yourself, and definitely differentiating is all about authenticity these days, right? I mean, people are fed up with overproduced content, with over-edited content, with overly used B-rolls. And I mean, that's one of the real stuff, right? The authentic stuff. That's one of the greatest way to differentiate today. And this is why influencer marketing is so successful, right? And absolutely, in an era where PPC is so high, competition is so hard, definitely on all platforms and also on all marketplaces, then influencer marketing is definitely the right way to go. And according to any report, the ROI for these type of activity is really very high compared to other channels as well. But again, for every business, it's a different story. And you've built Stack Influence, which is obviously kind of it's really a marketplace, right? So you need to it's not sometimes you launch a business and you need to win one market. For you have to win two, right? And the same time. So what are some of the biggest challenges of building such a two-sided marketplace? Obviously, it's very, very challenging compared to other let's say, initiatives, right?
100%. This is actually my second marketplace platform that I've worked on in the past, and I look back and I'm insane for trying to build marketplace platforms because they're the hardest thing to build. As you mentioned, you have 2 users that you always have to acquire, and that I would say is the biggest challenge. Is actually balance. Going back to that word, we call it in our business equilibrium, right? Is in the current Stack Influence business, you have influencers on one side and you have brands on the other. And if you don't have enough influencers and brands want more influencers, the brands aren't happy. And if the influencers come to the platform and they don't have enough brands that they actually would like to collaborate with, they're not happy. And so you have this chicken and the egg problem consistently, where you have to have this balance of equilibrium to really grow organically. And that was the biggest challenge starting the company, and also still poses a big challenge. It incrementally becomes easier once you build up both sides because you get some sort of network effects between them. But we still face we have to shift focus all the time between the 2 users. And building up the influencer side was the harder one at first. And that's what we actually focused on, right? Because you need the users, and the brands are really who are paying us to do the services that we do. But it's an absolute challenge. And
Yes.
but the real reality to it, and why we focused on that, was that it's very easy to have a database of influencers, right? But creating intimate relationships with people who understand what their requirements are, what the processes you've set in place are, right? And to really streamline systems for brands and e-commerce brands, is a database solution doesn't solve a lot of the pain points, and you had to have that dedicated community. So we had to take the hard road and build that marketplace system.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great challenge. I mean, it's obviously that this tank of influencer, that's your supply side of things, right? So you need to, enough inventory to convince brands to jump in, right?
That's exactly right.
How do you see the landscape, the influencer landscape right now? What has changed the last 3 years, let's say?
Yeah. So influencer marketing has been consistently evolving. Big things that have shifted, and we luckily chose a good niche within the influencer marketing, is a big push towards smaller creators. So influencer marketing predominantly started when in the social media realm with larger influencers naturally, right? Like you have millions of followers, you get your product in the hands of that person, it can reach a huge amount of people. But what has shifted over the past few years is that the trust with larger influencers has diminished in the sense that consumers were bombarded by ads all day, and we become bombarded by these kind of like massive promotions from celebrities, from large influencers. And what we realize is like there's huge amounts of ad dollars behind these things. And so it lacks trust. It's like, is this really what they're saying it is, right? Innately, if money is behind it, maybe something is biased. And that's the first kind of evolution of like trust diminished with these larger people. And so what people started to realize though is like, I would trust my family or my friend who I'm following, right? And so these smaller creators, even though they lacked the reach, you could say, with who they were following or the people who they were following, their trust and authenticity, going back to that term, was like tenfold. It was so much more powerful. And so when they promoted something, it converted much better. Now they lacked that total reach, right? If you only have a few thousand followers, like how many sales can you actually get? Even if it's maybe 10x the conversion rates as this larger influencer counterpart. And this is one of the biggest things that's really shifted in the past few years is that the social media platforms have changed. Where it used to be the case where if you had 10,000 or let's say 1 million followers and every single person, when you posted on social media and all 1 million of those followers were on social media, maybe the next few days or that week, pretty much the majority would end up seeing your content. It would get fed into their profile. Now, there's been 2 changes that social has really implemented. TikTok spearheaded one, Instagram followed suit, YouTube Shorts is doing the same. But basically, the first is that when you post on social media, the portion of your follower base that actually ends up seeing the content can be very small. And it's really only the people who are truly engaged with your profile that are going to see your content.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason basically social platforms did this is that as social media first started, where it was like, you're only following your friends, right? And then as it snowballed, people started following celebrities, random profiles that maybe their friend shared with them. And all of a sudden you're following thousands of people. And maybe you only care about 10% of those profiles. Maybe you saw a funny video or something engaging, you followed that person, but then the next video they produced wasn't that great, right? And now your social feed got filled up with all this content that you didn't necessarily care about. And what you're going to do is then just leave Instagram because you're tired of content that is not engaging, right? And that is not what Instagram wants. They want you to stay on it, keep engaging. And so what they realize is like, let's only show content that from profiles that they are consistently engaged with. And the second thing they did was they were like, what if someone's content is extremely engaging with their audience? Maybe other people who are not following them might like this content as well. And TikTok Reels algorithm spearheaded this. And now Instagram Reels does this, where if you have a really engaging video and it first gets tested with your audience and your audience really loves it, the people who are following you, that video will now go beyond your follower base. And then if more people who are beyond your follower base like it, it will snowball very quickly. And it's opened this gateway to where you can literally have just started a social account, have like 50, 100 followers, and get posts that get millions of views. You have to produce really good content, right? But it's shifted the dynamic from follower base to content creation, and really democratized kind of everyone on social media having this very powerful influence. And that has naturally made smaller creators, going back to that kind of big thing, more powerful, right? Like you're going to get such a better ROI by sending free products to 100 people versus paying $10,000 to a large celebrity and putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
So I'd say that's the biggest shift in the past few years in the influencer space.
Yeah, so there is a shift to micro influencers because all those big celebrities, or even macro mega influencer, people know that they get a lot of money, right, to produce this type of content, right? So this is why, as a company, you decided primarily to focus on product seeding, like gifting. That's one of the thought process behind that.
That's exactly right. Yeah, because with gifting, naturally, like you pay someone, they're biased by money, right? Like you pay someone enough money, they might promote it. For promote any single product online. All right. But they might not care at all about that product. And after they do the promotion, they might throw that product away. If you're doing product seeding, for those of you listening who have never heard of the term product seeding, it's basically sending a free product to someone in exchange for receiving some sort of asset. In the terms of Stack Influence, in exchange for a product, brands are getting content and then a social promotion. And why that's much better is like creating content and posting on social media takes a decent amount of effort, right? Like you want someone to put in some decent effort for it. And you want people to be compensated for their time. And so if you can find someone who is willing to do a bunch of effort in exchange for just receiving a product, it means that they really want your product. They're a real consumer of the brand, and the post that they create is going to be truly authentic. And so it's not everyone's going to be a match for that. And you may need to create extra incentives for them to want to create that content for you. Maybe it's affiliate links, maybe it's extra bonuses, depending on how they perform. But if your fundamental trade is just the product itself, it is a really authentic type of promotion.
Yeah. So the brands need to invest more on products, just ship them to influencers. There's no guarantee that they will produce the content, right? But overall, the end result is much more powerful and much more effective because it's really authentic and people are using it because they like the product, right? So that's...
Our system actually does have a guarantee for product seeding.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we used to have the main issue with product seeding, as you mentioned, is you send out 100 products, you might get 50 pieces of content back. Because not everyone is willing to do something.
Yeah.
We actually shifted the model to where we basically get, if an influencer wants to collaborate with a brand, they have to go buy the brand's product on their e-commerce store with their own money. And then once they successfully create a social post, they get rewarded with their money back plus some potential monetary bonus depending on the action they take. So if someone buys a product and does not complete that post, they don't get paid anything, brand doesn't lose inventory, and they actually come out on top. They made a free sale. And the influencer a lot of times isn't pissed. They're like, I got the product I kind of wanted, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do, right? So it's one of, call it influencer insurance, where normal product seeding, you definitely lose a huge amount of inventory, but in this new process, it took us a while to convince people to buy products up front and trust us that they're going to get their money back or paid. But that's how our system works.
Yes, it's really different, right, than traditional way of doing things. Okay, so William, please explain how the process works, how the brand is launching a campaign. Take us through the process.
Absolutely. So we try to simplify as much as possible, but we still want brands to have control over their growth goals, right? And so very simply, you sign up for Stack Influence, you set a specific product seeding goal or influencer collaboration goal, whether that is 100 influencers, whether that is 5,000, right? And one beautiful thing about our system is really scale. Now, once you set that high level goal, you now need to set certain product goals. So maybe you want to focus all growth, all those 5,000 influencers on one product. Maybe you want to do 10 different products and do 500 each. Maybe you want to do 3 and do 100 on one, 300 on the next, 500 on the third product, right? However you want to split it up. So you set your first collaboration goals. Then you set your time frame goal, right? How long do you want these collaborations to be completed in? And then upload information about your posting guidelines. So you may want to direct people to create content in some sort of light. We like to give influencers a decent amount of creative control just because their creativity usually shines through and you come up with really great stuff that you might not have anticipated. But we still want some guardrails as far as like a brand knows certain aesthetics, certain kind of things that they want to incorporate into the video or image. And so once you set your goals and upload some product information to the platform, every single thing else is handled and automated from A to Z. So we get influencers to go buy your product that handles the shipping logistics. We make sure they post on time. We analyze all of the final social posts to make sure the product is visible. They follow the baseline requirements in the system. We analyze all of the social metrics that happen, conversion metrics to make sure that brands can actually see the results in a very easy manner after all these promotions come through, and then provide them with also a very simple tracking dashboard so they can monitor the entire progress of how influencers are going through the funnel, collect final assets, again, analyze results, and then even actually contact influencers outside the platform if they want to create a longer term relationship in terms of like ambassadorship, affiliate relationships. So that's basically Stack Influence in a nutshell. And literally all brands do is have to send out free products. And then our billing model is very simple. There's no monthly fees. It's a pay-as-you-go system. You pay a flat fee between about $20 to $40 per successful post. And you only pay if you get successful posts. So it's just a pay-as-you-go, pay for completion system. If you signed up for 100,000 promotions and only got 10,000, you're only paying for 10,000.
Yes. So brands are usually involved in the content moderation or approval process.
Yep. So they are involved in the content guidelines and direction. Our team will actually handle all of the approval sides for them to make sure that these influencers followed everything. Because again, our platform is this scalable platform. A brand doesn't want to have to go in and look at 100, 1,000, 5,000 pieces of content to like double check everything and communicate with them. Right. They want to offload that to our system and our team. So that's how that system works. But we still want them involved, obviously, in how we are guiding the influencers and what are the kind of attributes for that final content curation and confirmation.
Yeah. And there is usually like kind of a call to action that the influencers are activating at the end, like affiliate link or a coupon code, or these are mostly impressions, brand awareness, or also conversions?
Combination of both. So we always try to have some sort of call to action incorporated. We want also as much linkage as you can do depending on the social platform. And there are some limitations, like as an example, Instagram posts don't allow external clickable links, right? You can put a link, someone can't click on it. So there's certain limitations of actually like linkable call to actions, but they can link your profile and your business Instagram account. And then in your bio, you can have very clear call to actions. And in the influencer's bio, they could maybe have a link. And so you can call things out in those capacities depending on what the brand's actual growth goals are.
Yes. No, it's clear. I mean, we just implemented lately in our platform the ability to check out through a DM on Instagram, right? So that's
fantastic. Yeah.
You just comment a hot word, right? That you configure, and then it's automatically sending you the link through the DM, and you can check out through Instagram. So it's really a nice implementation. I mean, each one of those platforms are providing various ways, right, to create this type of redirect or conversion to checkout. And I think it's just less friction, right? In terms of those area. Okay, so William, what do you see now in terms of brands when they're launching this type of influencer campaign? I mean, what they get wrong? I mean, what some of the lessons that you see or some of the mistakes that you see that they're doing?
Good question. So one thing that is big is not understanding how to convey the proper posting guidelines to who they're targeting, right? Because they just haven't gotten it right yet. And that sometimes takes some experimentation. And our team always tries to provide as much of guidelines and feedback on best practices as we can to the brands. But sometimes they think they're right and they think that this is the direction that they want to go in. And the content that gets produced is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it's really doesn't convert that well. It's not aligned to the audience that they really should be speaking to, or they're misaligned with the types of people that would be great advocates for them, right? So that's a big thing that brands kind of miss. And then I would also say some brands, not to say that you need a perfect website presence, but you should kind of have your ducks in a row on, like, some people want to launch an influencer campaign and like don't even have any social media, right? And so an influencer is going to be less likely to promote it. Also, they're going to get less value out of like people tagging them, promoting it on, like they can be growing a huge amount of social following just by the promotions themselves. So it's kind of like you want to have certain things in place before, in my opinion, you launch a influencer campaign. Like have a good website presence, have a good social presence. Doesn't have to be on every single social media platform. If you're launching on an e-commerce marketplace, like make sure that your marketplace listings are optimized with the right keywords, et cetera, et cetera. And so that you basically get the most advantage out of these types of promotions, because it's not just about like performance marketing, which some people perceive influencers as, like, which obviously is a big value. There's a big amount of brand building that you get out of the content creation, the social awareness, the social proof. And if your online presence isn't there, or very lacking, you're just not going to get as much value out of those components.
Yeah, interesting. And I know you invested a lot and talked a lot about omnichannel strategies and working with the influencers on marketplaces. What are some of the ideas that you are focused on, on this topic?
Yeah, so we've seen a huge demand of e-commerce marketplace sellers utilizing influencer marketing, and it's been a trend in the past few years. And a big reason behind this is online marketplaces or e-commerce marketplaces are basically search engines, right? There's a ranking system in the same way as like a Google search engine, and huge amount of consumer interest in marketplace. Like Amazon, I think, controls like 45, if not higher, % of every single sale in the US, every other marketplace, every other website, right? Like,
and growing.
yeah, exactly. So massive amount of consumer interest, but the bottom line is that about, I think the stat is like 2,500 new Amazon sellers join the marketplace every day. And 70% of people don't go past a first page search when they go to find something, right? And with that volume amount of sellers, like any given search term or any given category has usually hundreds or thousands of pages, right? And so when you first launch, or even if you've been on Amazon for a while, it takes time to get to that coveted first page for any sort of keyword, even low volume keywords. I think there's only like 42 listings on the first page. So if you think of thousands of products, how do you get to that first page? And if you're not there, you're not taking advantage of that like 50% of consumer interest online. It's almost pointless to even be on the marketplace. You're sending inventory to Amazon and it's getting stuck there and you're paying fees to have it stored, right?
Yes.
Now, how the algorithms work to determine how to place you is how well your product actually performs. The only reason Amazon is going to put you at a top position is because you're a high converting product, right? Similarly with Google, like Google will rank you if you have, their key metric is information, how correlated, relevant, trustworthy your article or information is. On Amazon, it's how well your product converts, right? And so the best way to get to a higher position within Amazon is to give Amazon data or prove to them that you are worthwhile and worthy of being a high converting product, right? And so what brands have realized is if you can drive, so when you first launch, you might be on page 1,000, right? You're not getting any sales. So you need to give Amazon data. So if you drive external traffic sales, meaning like you run an email marketing campaign, you run an influencer campaign, you run a Facebook ad campaign, drive sales to Amazon, to that listing, show them that you're worthwhile. Amazon's going to start showing you at higher positioning. And then now you're going to get that visibility. But the key to it is not all traffic is the same. If you drove a Facebook ad campaign and 1 out of 200 people bought the product and had really low conversion rates, that's actually going to hurt you. Now you're telling Amazon this product doesn't convert, right? So you want to invest in trustworthy and high converting channels. And that's a big reason why brands have now been shifting and utilizing influencer marketing to grow on these marketplaces, because their conversion rates are fantastic. And it gives Amazon the data or proof it needs to determine that, hey, they should be placed higher. And now they get that newfound visibility from the people who are actually searching on Amazon, and they can kind of do a one-off campaign, get to that higher positioning, organic sales flood in, and their recurring revenue doesn't stop. You know what I mean? So it's an amazing strategy that we're seeing a huge amount of demand for recently.
Nice. And this is something that brands can configure on the onboarding process in the platform. It's okay. You redirect it to this Amazon listing, and yeah, and Amazon loves that outbound traffic, obviously, or inbound traffic coming in, and just improve the ranking of you. Okay. Wow. Amazing. Great, William. So how people can find you, can find Stack Influence?
Absolutely. So very simply, go to stackinfluence.com. You can sign up for the platform at the top right. It will prompt you to book a call with our team because we want to discuss your growth goals, make sure you understand best practices, figure out what e-commerce channels you're trying to grow in, right? We have a really, really masterful team who know all about e-commerce. So you're in trusted hands when you talk to them. So that's how you get signed up. You can find us on basically every single social channel at Stack Influence. And if anyone wants to follow me or connect with me, feel free to search me on LinkedIn at William Gasner. And feel free to also shoot me a personal email if you'd like at william@stackinfluence.com.
Amazing. William, anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. It's a great episode.
Yeah, we covered a great amount of topic. I'm really happy with this episode. So I really appreciate all the knowledge and for sharing everything with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I appreciate having me on.
Thank you for listening to the end of this episode. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. And if you could share this with just one person, it would make all the difference. Are you looking to accelerate your sales with the power of shoppable video? Explore Vimy, the video commerce platform that includes live shopping, shoppable video, and social commerce capabilities. Visit Vimy at www.vimy.net, that's VIMMI.net, where you can start with a free for life package. We appreciate your support and look forward for bringing you more valuable insight in our next episode.